Thank you for the opportunity to testify as a member of the SIPC Modernization Task Force. I'm appearing here today in my individual capacity and not speaking on behalf of my fellow task force members. I'd like to highlight some of the important pro-investor changes recommended by the task force, namely expanding and increasing the protection available to customers in three important ways. First, when a brokerage is liquidated and the customer property marshaled by the trustee is inadequate to return all customer funds and securities, SIPC makes advances from its own funds to assure the return of the customer's property. For over 30 years, these advances have been capped at $500,000 per customer. The task force recommends increasing the maximum advance to $1.3 million to adjust the limit to reflect inflation since 1980. Second, SIPA currently distinguishes between claims for cash and securities, setting a lower $250,000 limit on claims for cash entrusted to the broker-dealer. The task force recommends eliminating this distinction, which has been a subject of controversy and unproductive litigation. And third, the task force recommends a limited pass-through of SIPC protection to make individual pension plan participants eligible for advances with respect to their share of the plan's account at a failed broker-dealer. While I support these recommendations, I wish to note that they were made without any real consideration of their cost. This cost will be funded by the members of SIPC and ultimately by the investing public. Before implementing these recommendations, I suggest Congress obtain a reasonable estimate of the cost of the expanded protection and consider whether these costs would be justified by the increased investor confidence. I'm disappointed by the task force's failure to take action with respect to several critical areas previously identified by SIFMA. It is essential to ensure consistency between SIPA and the SEC's rules that determine the property a broker is required to reserve or segregate for its customers. Inconsistencies between the two may result in an insolvent brokerage holding an inadequate customer property to satisfy all the customer's claims for the property entrusted to it. To take just one example, discrepancies in the treatment of the proprietary accounts of broker-dealers may result in a multi-billion-dollar shortfall in the property available for distributions to customers of Lehman Brothers, as we've heard earlier today. The current discrepancies were briefly addressed by the task force's report, which recommended further study. The task force missed an opportunity to recommend a solution to a problem that is only going to become more urgent as the SEC promulgates rules for the protection of securities-based swap customers. Although the Dodd-Frank Act addressed the treatment of these customers in a liquidation under the Bankruptcy Code, it did not address their status under SIPA, where their status is highly uncertain. If they are not protected as customers under SIPA, securities-based swap customer protection rules may be futile. On the other hand, if they are protected as customers under SIPA, regular securities customers may be exposed to risks arising out of the swap business. The SEC should be authorized to make rules under SIPA so that it can promulgate harmonious rules addressing both the requirements for brokers to set aside property for customers and also the distribution of that property in a liquidation. The SEC should consider tailoring the customer protection and distributive schemes so that customers with simple securities accounts are not unduly exposed to the risks of newer and more complex types of transactions. Finally, to the question of fraud committed by a broker-dealer, I would like to note, as intended by Congress, SIPC's funds are available only to replace missing customer property that was in the custody of a failed broker-dealer. I share in the sympathy with and outrage on behalf of the many innocent victims of massive frauds by the likes of Madoff and Stanford. Financial fraud undermines confidence in our markets and our regulatory system. However, SIPA is not intended to protect investors against losses on their investments, only against losses of their investments in the event of a broker-dealer failure. Investors who lose money because of a decline in the value of the securities are not protected by SIPA against such losses, whether the decline is due to market forces or even due to fraud. In conclusion, SIFMA appreciates the opportunity to participate in the work of the task force and is committed to working constructively to modernize SIPA to better protect investors and thereby increase confidence in the financial markets. We look forward to continuing to work with the subcommittee on these important investor protection issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.